Hey everyone, welcome to Happy Hour Hangout. I'm Jess. Greetings to everybody in the chat. Hello to Gus and James and Phantom Meeple and anyone else that's joining me today. I am so stoked to be back with you all for some gameplay and fun. I had to take a week off last week. We had some summer cold kind of hit me real bad, so wasn't feeling super great. Had to do some self-care, which is highly important. So yeah, doing a few things that are needing for my body to recuperate, but I'm feeling much better and glad to be back streaming with you all. So hope you all are doing well. Good, James. I'm glad to hear you're doing fine. And yes, hello to everyone in the chat. Today I'm going to be playing the Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. It is quite an oldie but goodie, I should say, in the realm of roll and writes. Hey, EC. Good to see you on here, friend. Yeah, so it is quite a nice game, and yes, I am super excited for our meetup. There are going to be several folks here on the west coast of the States that are going to be doing a meetup here next week, 2 weeks from now. Yeah, so we're going to do some in-person gaming and hanging out and just enjoying each other's company, so I'm looking forward to that for sure. Oh gosh, yeah. Put in all the emotes, all of the camels, all of just the goodies. I love it so much. So yeah, this game was one of the first roll and write games that we purchased, and it is actually in my top. I know there are so many dice games and especially roll and write games out there, but this one has to be up there on my list of faves. It's got a lot of good strategy to it, so it's more than just rolling dice and filling in numbers. There are some decisions to make and things too, so I'm going to be going through and playing that with you all today in the chat. Unfortunately, I could not find a player sheet for you all to play along if you don't have a copy at home. I apologize for that. I looked online and even on the Ravensburger website, and unfortunately they didn't have any digital player sheets to play along. But yeah, I know, EC, I wish you could join us for that, but you know, there are other things happening in your life that might be slightly more important than meeting with us, and it will we will get to see each other in person one day, so don't you worry about that. Yes, James, Castle of Burgundy dice is tops. So yeah, so unfortunately I don't have player sheets for you all to play along with me, but I do always have the link to put in for Crisscross, because it is a new month, and so we are going to be, of course, doing Crisscross at the end of the stream today. So the player sheet file is there in the chat. But yes, so if you do have a copy of Castles Dice, I will be playing on the letter B duchy, B like bananas. So that's the duchy I'm going to be playing on today if you want to play along. Or if you want to watch the VOD later, that's the starter sheet that I'm going to be using. So Castles is a very straightforward game once you kind of understand the mechanics of what each die can do, what each hex section can do, and things of that nature. Yeah. I always try to think of like something fairly, I don't know, like, you know what people say, like A as an apple or M as in Mary or something like that. I don't know. Yes, this duchy is bananas. So we're going to be playing on the letter B duchy today. So yes, so in Castles, what you're trying to do is you're trying to gather the most points possible by completing sections of hexes. And each section gives you certain bonuses, either a bonus action or bonus points as you go throughout the game. There will be 3 total rounds. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the follow, Fragilities. Good to see you on here. Welcome in. I'm going to be playing a roll and write called Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Feel free to play along if you have a copy at home. If not, feel free to just interact with the chat. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. So we're going to be playing over 3 rounds and total up our final scores based upon those 3 rounds and try to get a high score. I don't have an actual score chart because I've played this game so much that I don't really remember if I have a top range of score, because it always varies. 1, depending upon the dice, and 2, how I play out my moves and things of that nature. So anyways, let me get to the table here, friends, and we can get started. I will be doing an actual rules explanation on how to play this game just for folks at home that haven't played it and want to pick up a copy and possibly play it later on. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be rolling a grouping of dice. And what we've got here is we've got 2 dice with pips on them. We've got 2 dice with colors on them. And then we've got this final die, which is called the time die, which will correspond to the 3 sections here for the 3 rounds. Hey Dutch, good to see you on here, friend. Welcome in. I am just starting to explain how to play Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. If you want to play along, I'm going to be playing on the letter B, like bananas, Dutchy. So feel free to grab your player sheets if you want to, or if you just want to hang out and lurk and interact in the chat, that is cool too, but good to see you on here. So we have these three different types of die that we're going to be rolling each turn. What's going to happen then is once those dice are rolled, we're going to pick a pair of dice, meaning one that has a pip value on it and one that has a color on it. And then that will correspond to where we draw that number onto our duchy. First, at the beginning of the game, we are each going to start choosing an opening castle here. Those are the dark green sections, and then we will get the corresponding bonuses underneath those hexes there themselves. So with that, no problem. We're mostly lurking. That is totally fine. I appreciate you just being here, friend. So what we're going to happen is we're going to choose an opening castle to start with, and then the corresponding resource we are going to fill in here on the green section. As we complete different color hex sections, we are going to gain that corresponding bonus, and I'll explain what each of those do in just a second. So once we grab a pair of a pip die and a color die, we will fill them in onto our duchy, and then fill in the time tracker here along the time track to indicate when the end of the round will be triggered. Okay, now each of these sections here has corresponding requirements that you have to pay attention to as you're going through and playing this game. So for example, if you were to choose a purple to fill into a purple hex, you must have a pip value of either a 1 or a 2. So in this example, this is a valid pairing because it is a 1 and then the purple. So I can choose a hex and an empty hex that is not filled in on the purple side and put a number 1 in there. Now, one thing to remember is as we start the game, we are each going to be picking our own castle to start with. We can all choose the same one. We can choose different ones. It doesn't matter. However, for each future turn, you must pick a hex that is somewhere adjacent to something that has already been filled in. So for example, if I were to choose this castle as my starting castle, I would need to make sure that and the next turn I would have to choose one of the surrounding hexes to fill in. So in this example with the 1 and the purple, there are no purple hexes around this castle, so unfortunately I could not pick this pairing. Conversely though, if I were here, if this was my starter castle, I could pick this pairing and write it here on the purple hex because it is adjacent to my castle hex itself. As the game progresses, you will slowly start moving your way out from your center castle, filling in adjacent hexes and getting the corresponding bonuses. So for the 1 and 2 correspond to purple. The 3 and 4 correspond to the gray hexes, so here and here. The 5 and 6 correspond to the blue hex section, so only numbers 5 and 6 can be placed there. Only if you want to limit yourself to the rules. Exactly. But you see, sometimes I do like playing according to the rules, especially if people want to watch the VOD later. If I have to house rule something, I'll house rule something, but that's only in person. So 5s and 6s go with the blue hexes. The orange hex sections must be of numbers that are of different kind. So I cannot have the same number repeated in an orange section. So if I start with drawing a number 3 here, I cannot have a 3 anywhere else on this orange section. And then I'm going to skip this for now, but then going down to the yellow, or kind of like a lime green color. The yellow is for even or like numbers, the numbers that are the same. So on the yellow, they must be the same number in order to write them in the hexes. So if I had a 3 here on this yellow, I must draw another 3 on a future turn on this yellow hex. Again, making sure that I have a die face that is yellow so I can fill it in on that hex section. Then going back to the castles, you can claim a future castle if you have a number that is of the same value of something that is adjacent to that hex. All right, Phantom Meeple, have a good lurk. Thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate it. So for example, if I had the 3 here and I wanted to claim this castle for a future turn, I must have the die be green and then have it be a 3 in order for me to claim this castle. So I would have a 3 here in yellow. It would be a valid play if I were to claim this pairing to write a 3 here for the castle. But instead of actually writing the number, I will circle this resource and put it corresponding to this resource next to it there. So that's what the numbers do. So you must make sure you have a proper number, pip number, and a color that corresponds to the rules restrictions on the hex sections. Now, as you see, each of the different color sections has a different resource. Those will allow you to manipulate the dice as you go throughout the game. The purple section, these are called the monks for theming purposes. They are called the monks, and if you have this resource, you can use it to change a value of one of the color die to whatever color you want. So the purple, if a purple comes up for, if you have a purple resource available, you can use it to change one of the color die into a whatever color you want. So if any of these dice are not the color that you choose and you have a purple resource available, you can use the purple resource and then change the die to what you want. Oh, thank you so much for the subscription, EC. I appreciate that. Yes, this game does look hexy, Charity Board Gamer. Good to see you on here, friend. Welcome in. I'm just going over rules for Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. If you would like to play along, please feel free to do so. Or if you're just lurking and want to hang out in the chat, that's totally cool too. I'm just super glad that you are here and hope your Wednesday is going well. So once you have the hex available, once you have the resource available to you and you're going to utilize it, cross off that resource to indicate that you have it used. And so it's only like a one and done kind of thing. For the gray resource, you are allowed to take 2 different pairings following the proper requirements of colors and pip numbers and things of that nature, you're allowed to take 2 pairings on a turn instead of 1. The blue is going to be corresponding to the time die, and I will get back to that in just a second. The orange die, you can use, the orange resource, you can use to change the pip value of one of the dice. If there's a number that you want to that does not get rolled here and you have an orange resource available, you can use that to change the number to what you want it to be. So that allows you to change the pip value. And then here on the green castles, you gain one of the 4 resources based upon what is indicated underneath the castle that you claim. And those correspond to the same 4 up here. And then finally, for the yellow resource, once you complete a section and you get a yellow resource, actually what it does is it doubles the value of the hex grouping by 2. So in order to claim some of these resources, you must complete a hex section of a particular color. So if I were to claim these 2, meaning I have numbers filled in both of these yellow hexes, I would claim the yellow resource bonus. And that means I would take the value of the grouping and multiply it by 2. So in this example, since there are 2 hexes here and it is a yellow, I would look to see what it would be, which round we are in, how many hexes are included in that group, and that will give me the point total. So in the first round, for a 2 grouping of 2 hexes, it would give me 4 points. However, since they are yellow, I would multiply that by 2 and give myself 8 points. So down here are the little tally score sections that you can write down your points as you're accumulating them throughout each round. So again, with the orange, if you complete an orange section by filling in numbers in all of the hexes, you will gain an orange resource. For the same thing with blue, if you complete a blue section, you get a blue. Gray, you complete the gray, you will get a gray resource. And finally, for purple, you will get a purple resource. Once you gain it and use it, it will not replenish. So seeing as you only have a limited amount here for each of the resources, it's vital to kind of strategize when you want to use them. And down here you will see on the bottom of your scoreboard, they will tell you what each of the resources does as well, kind of a little graphic for you. The blue corresponds, like I said, to the time die. So there are time spaces here. This indicates 1 time unit that is going to be used on the round. And this symbol corresponds to 2 time units marking on the round. So if this gets rolled, we will mark 2 time units on our row here for whatever round we are currently in. Then before we decide to choose a pairing of dice, we will execute the blue action, meaning if anyone has blue resources available to them, meaning they were able to claim them by filling in blue hex sections, they will get to take the blue resource action, which is they will gain 2 victory points for every blue resource they have available to them. In addition, they will gain 1 gray resource. And again, the gray resource allows you to take a second pairing of dice on a turn. So now, trying to remember, if you have a 2 hex section, if a 2 time section for these blue resources, it will only correspond to what you currently have, not what you have utilized. So be aware, if it comes up and you only have 1 resource, then you will only gain 2 points and then a gray. But if you had all 3 available to you, you would gain 6 points and gain 3 gray resources. Another thing to mention, if you are going to use a resource to manipulate the dice, you can only use 1 resource per roll. So in this example, if you wanted to use the gray resource to take 2 pairings of dice, you cannot manipulate the dice in any way if you're going to take the pairing. So that's kind of a little bit confusing when people want to take two combinations. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, I can change this one into a blue and then I can use my gray and take two pairings. No, unfortunately, it still applies. You can only use one type of resource every round. Now, as you see on these sections here for each round, the groupings get higher in point value towards the beginning of the game and lower in point value as the game progresses. So one thing I like to note is, as you can see, the 4 hex sections here give you more victory points earlier on in the game and less as they go along. So that is something to be aware of. Another thing to note is if a person completes all of one color, so if they were able to fill in numbers in all of the hex sections of one color, they will get the corresponding bonus point. The first player to do so will get the higher number here for each of the 6 resources, and then second place will get the lower score. If they are tied, I believe if the bonuses that people claim them on the same turn, I believe they get the same. I believe they share, so they each get the same number. They will all gain the full player amount. Yeah, so they can all gain them. So there's no splitting of the bonuses. So if multiple players get the same groupings completed on a turn, they will each share that same number of points. Okay, so we're just going to go through and play the 3 rounds, adding up our scores. Like I said, down here, this is to kind of keep a tally of your score. So at the end of each round, we will write down here what our points are, and then overall total we will put here for our victory points. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know in the chat. I am going to take a quick hydrate before we get started. But yeah, it's going to be some interesting choices. I know these resources have different names, corresponding to the Castles of Burgundy board game. So I know the purple is the monastery for the monks, the blue is the river, the gray is the mines, the orange is for your cities, the green is for your castles, and the yellow or kind of limeish green color is for your pastures. So, but I always like to teach it based upon color because I find it easier for folks to kind of follow along if they haven't played the actual board game. Easier for them to pick it up if they know how to know what the different mechanics are per color. So, if no one has any questions or anything like that, then I will go ahead and get started. So I will be rolling all 5 dice every single turn. And if you are playing along at home and not sure kind of what strategy is and everything like that, I don't mind if you want to do the same thing like I am. I have played this several times, so there are going to be some strategies that I like to see, but it is really based upon what get rolled on the dice. So, all right, here we go. And I will try to put them in the line of sight so we can all see here. So right now we have 2 time units, which is kind of a bummer to start off with. So I will mark off 2 time units here on our player sheet. Then we have some options. So before we even take a pairing, we have to see if anybody has a blue resource so we can gain our victory points. Unfortunately, no one does, but I totally forgot before I was supposed to roll, I was supposed to claim a castle. So I'm actually going to claim this castle first. Yeah, before you roll, you're supposed to claim a castle. So I claimed this castle here. So then I have my options around here. So there is, we've got gray, and blue, 1 and 1, which is not a great start because neither blue nor gray can be used with a 1. Because remember, the only time we can use a 1 is if we have a purple. So what do I do in this situation? If you cannot choose a pairing because of whatever circumstance, if you don't have any resources to manipulate the dice, or the dice just get rolled like they are right now, you will be able to claim a orange resource as kind of like a consolation. So instead of us writing down a number in a hex, we will just claim a orange resource, which allows you again to manipulate the pip value on a die, and then we will roll one more time for the next turn. Whatever resources you gain on a turn, you cannot use them until the next turn, so they have to be saved there. All right, next, here we go. We have 1 time unit. Then we've got a 6. We've got yellow here. We've got gray and a 5. So we've got 1 time unit to mark off here. Yellow and gray, 5 and 6. So remember, friends, I have to choose a hex in the surrounding area around this one that I've already claimed. So I do have available to me a gray and a yellow. However, gray requires 3 and 4. So unless I decide to change one of the values, I could instead write down in a yellow section because they can be of any value. Just have to make sure in future turns they are of the same number. So instead of, I'm going to save my number, or I'm going to save my resource here because I actually have 2, because my first initial castle gave me the orange resource as well. So I will actually save those, use a yellow, and then I'm going to go with a 5. So I'm going to write a 5 here. And that is in the next turn. Yeah, I don't have any resources I want to use just yet, so I am going to roll the rest of the dice. Okay, well, dang it. I've got 2 time. I've got a blue and a gray. And then I've got a 1 and a 2. So again, we have to pause and write 2 time units marked on our time tracker here. And then check and see if anybody has any blue resources claimed. I do not, so I don't get to do the blue resource bonus. And now I have a 1 and a 2, a gray, and a blue. So now this time I will use one of my orange resources to change. And I'm going to claim this 5. I'm going to claim this blue hex here and change the pip value to a 6 because the blue hexes can only have numbers 5 or 6 written in them. And now, since I have this section completed, I gain a blue resource to use on the future. And because it is a 1 hex grouping that is completed, I give myself 1 victory point. So that goes here. This 1 here on your player sheet is actually for your starting castle. Since it is a 1 hex section, it gives you 1 point. So starting off the game, you get 1 point. So, okay. Hoping that I might roll some blue in the future, we'll see how that goes. All right, so we've got a 1-time unit. We've got purple and purple, a 5, and a 6. Okay, so we're going to mark 1 here. Now, purple I can use because I do have some purples next to me. I can, but these numbers are not fulfilling of the requirement for the purple hex sections. So I will use my other orange resource to change one of these to either a 1 or a 2. I will do that here and put it as a 1. 1 on purple. So there we go. So it was kind of handy to have a couple of those resources available to me. That way I can keep continuing to fill in over here. And now I have the ability to fill in down here, over here, and up in this area here. Okie doke. All right, we've got 1 time. We've got a green, a 3 and a 2, and another green. Okay, so remember, friends, for green, you must have it be adjacent to claim a green hex tile. You must have a number around it, adjacent to it, that are the same value of whatever gets rolled on these dice. So first, I have to see, am I adjacent to any green yet? Unfortunately, I am not, so I cannot claim. And I do not have any of the purple resource, which allows me to change these colors. So unfortunately, I can't do anything except mark the 1 time here. I don't have any manipulators for me to change any of these dice, unfortunately. So I will claim an orange resource as a consolation prize. Kind of a rough start here, friends, but hopefully it'll ramp up because I do have a blue resource now collected. And lo and behold, blue time has come out here. So we have got 2 time, a gray and a green, a 1 and a 2. So I'm going to mark 2 time here. Check and see how many resources of blue I have. I've got 1, so I'm going to cross that off. And because of 1, it'll give me 2 points. And a gray resource. And now I get to take a pairing. So I have gray and green, 1 and 2. So I have a gray area up here that I can go for, but they need to be 3 and 4. I do have an orange resource, so I am going to utilize it here. Claim the gray and fill in a 4 up here in gray. So I manipulated the die to become a 4 using my orange resource, and I filled it in up there at the top. Okay, we only have 1 more time unit left on this round, and then we will go into round number 2. All right, we've got 1 time unit, a blue and a yellow, and a 3 and a 5. All right, so we're going to mark 1 time unit. We will be tallying up our scores for round 1 at the end of this pairing. So I've got blue and yellow, 3 and 5. Oh, look there, friends. Yellow is great. I needed a 5, so there we go, yellow 5. So I will do 5 here. That completes this yellow grouping. So I look at how many points I will get for that grouping and multiply it by 2. So there are 2 hexes in this group. 2 hexes for round number 1 gives me 4 points. Multiplied by 2 will give me 8. So there we go. So I don't get any other bonus actions. I just immediately get more victory points there. So we'll tally up our scores in the end of round 1. I've got a giant score of 12 here. Giant score of 12. Not a bad start, but not super great. And now we will move into round number 2. Okie doke. We have got, again with the double time. These are just coming out way too soon, I think. Way too soon. All right, so we have to mark off 2 on our time counter. Check and see if we have any blue resources. Unfortunately, I do not. I already claimed those for the victory points. So I do not get to do this bonus action. And now I have to look at the dice pairing that I have available. So blue and green, 2 or 2. So I am not close to any of the green castles yet, so I cannot claim that, unfortunately. And the only blue one I have is right here. However, blue needs to be a 5 or a 6, and these are 2s, and I don't have any orange resources to manipulate the pips. So unfortunately, I cannot claim any of these pairs, and I will just get an orange consolation prize. Oh, this is pretty rough, friends. Pretty rough. Let's see. Let's see how we do here. All right, so we've got 2 time again. Oh, good grief. 2 time again. So, marking off 2 time. Not great. I don't have any blue resources again, so I cannot claim this bonus. And so we've got purple and yellow, 6 and 4. So I am close to another purple area. I am not close to a yellow yet, so I would claim the purple. However, 6 and 4 are not what is needed for the purple hexes. We need a 1 or 2. But I do have an orange resource, so I am going to utilize it and change this to be a 2 here for this purple hex up here. And since that is completed, I will look at the grouping. For round 2, a grouping of 1 hex will give me 1 point. And because it is a purple completed hex section, I will now get a purple resource. So that will come in handy. I know some of you are saying, well, Jess, you have this one here. I know, but seeing as the dice are not falling in my favor, I much rather have a resource available to me to allow me to manipulate the dice. So having this section completed will allow me to do that. Okay, so that was 2 time. Good grief. I'm trying to remember if I did. I think I did write it down. I think I did do the 2 time. So 2 time. Yeah, I think we did. All right. That's always one thing I forget to do. So before choosing your pairing, friends, I like to tell people write down your time tracker first before choosing a pairing, because you might forget to do so in the future. All right. Okay, here we go. We have got 2 time again. Ugh. All right. So let's mark our 2 time. Oh, good grief. This is not looking good. All right. But we've got a purple and an orange, 6 and 4. Now with orange, it can be any number, but just remember in future turns, they have to be different. So I can claim an orange because I am here close. I am adjacent to it here. And 6 and 4 are valid, so I can. And I think I'm going to use my gray resource to take 2 pairings. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do an orange 6 here. And then use my gray resource to take a second pairing and do an orange 4. So I was able to claim 2. Oh, that looks kind of like a 10. Nope, that's a 6, friends. That is a 6. So I was able to claim 2 hexes on that turn, which is nice. It'll kind of make up for the other things. And now I am close to this castle. So if a green value does come up, I will be able to claim that for green there. All right. But nothing completed yet for blue. It would be nice if I stopped rolling blue time, huh? It would be nice, I think. Okay, so we've got 1 time finally. We've got some 6 and a 4 and a gray and a purple. So marking off 1 time first. 6 and 4, gray or purple. Gray is good because it needs a 4, so I can complete this section here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a 4 here on gray. It is a 2 hex grouping, which gives me 3 points for that. And then it will give me a gray resource. So that is very nice. So completed over here, trying to work my way down this way. Hopefully I can get some blue maybe down here so we can claim these castles as well. But we're slowly trekking, slowly trekking. All right. Oh no. 2 time again. That's unfortunate. 2 time again. All right, so we're gonna mark off 2 time. Boo earns, I say. Boo earns. Okay. And look to see if we have any blue resources, which we do not. So I cannot claim the blue value. Yeah, there are so many. So many 2 times. I promise I didn't do it. Okay, Gus. I won't point the finger at you. All right, so now we've got gray and orange 2 and 4. So I don't have any gray nearby that I can claim yet, but I do have an orange and I can write down a 2. So I will do that. A 2 on orange. Very nice. And I cannot do anything with the 4 because there's no orange. The orange 4 has already been written and I am not close to this gray area yet. All right. 1 more time unit for this round. Okay. Here we go, 2 time again, but there's only 1 left for this round, so I'm only going to fill in 1. However, I do get to do the you do do the blue bonus there. But unfortunately, I don't have any. I'm kind of regretting like not claiming this castle at the beginning. So I don't have any resources for the blue, so I can't do the blue bonus action. So right now I've got blue and gray 3 and 4. Okay, well, this is kind of a dilemma because the blue needs 5 and 6. 5 and 6, but I don't have an orange resource to manipulate, so I can't do that. 3 and 4 are good for gray. However, I'm not close to a gray. But what I do have is I have this purple resource, which allows me to change one of the pip value or one of the color dye to whatever color I want. So I want to complete this orange section. So I'm going to pretend this gray is actually orange for this time and write an orange 3 here. And use this purple resource, the orange 3 here. And then, because it is an orange section that is complete, a grouping of 4, I will look down and that will give me 10 points here, as well as an orange resource because it was an orange section. So there we go. And now we can add up our points for round number 2. So I got 14 here. Oof. I feel like we need to play this again just so I can show you some of these like combos and stuff, because this rolling all these 2 times is just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of madness. Kind of madness. Okie doke. Moving on into round number 3. Okay, starting off with 1 time. Much better. So we've got 1 time down. Blue and orange, 3 and 5. Okay. Ooh, that is good. Let's put a 5 down here, shall we? I think that'll do it. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Okay, what do we got here? 1 time again, orange and yellow, 6 and a 1. Okay. So I am close up here to a yellow area. Do I feel like I can do 1s or 6s up there? Well, let's try it. Let's put a 1 up here on yellow and see. Yeah, because that's the only close one that I have for yellow. And I'm not close to any orange yet, so I can't do a second choosing. So yeah, I think I will play this again, friends, just so y'all can see maybe a little bit a better score. Okay, we've got a 1 time. Blue and yellow, 2 and 4. Okay. Well, darn it. So, well, that's okay, I guess. I can change this here to be a 5, or I can change this to be a 1. I feel like I need to change this to be a 5 so I have a blue resource available. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this orange to manipulate the pip dice to make this a 5 on blue. And this completes this 2 groupings, which gives me 2 points. And a blue resource. And so, yep, that'll do it. I can't do a secondary action because I already used a resource to manipulate the dice. So now I am prepared for when two time comes up. We'll see if that makes a difference. Okay, we've got 1 time blue and gray, 3 and 5. 1 time here. Gus around curse the dice. Well, James, there are times where he has the Will Wheaton curse of dice. Sometimes they don't roll in our favor. They roll against us. So I think that's what Gus was referencing. When we have played this in the past. So, blue and gray, 5 and 3. I can take a green, or gray, excuse me. I can take a gray and a blue, actually. So I will take the gray 3 here because gray needs 3s or 4s. And then I will use my gray resource to take a second pairing and do a blue 5. Right next to it. So there we go. I was able to have 2 markings here for this roll, which is nice. Alrighty. 2 time. There we go. I actually have a resource I can cash in. There we go. So we got 2 time. Now for every blue resource, I give myself 2 points. So I have 1 available. Will give me 2 points here. And a gray. And now I choose my pairing. So I've got gray and blue, 1 and 4. So I'll do the gray 4 here. And that completes gray, which will give me a 2 grouping, gives me 2 points. And a gray resource. And then I have completed all of the gray. There's no more gray here. So I will also get 3 points for completing all of the gray groupings. Seems very nice. Very nice timing. I might end up with higher than 14 on this last roll. This last round, we'll see. Okay. All right, 1 time unit. Then we've got gray and blue again, 1 and 2. Oh, jeepers. Okay. Well, that's not going to help because I need those to be 3s or 4s or 5s or 6s. And I do not have anything to manipulate the pip values. So unfortunately, I cannot claim anything. So I will get an orange resource instead. Boo earns. Boo earns. All right. Just a couple more rolls here for the end of the game. And we've got 1 time blue and green, 5 and 6. Okay, so let's mark our 1 time here. Blue and green, 5 and 6. So I can claim this one here if I wanted to get myself a point. Or I could, actually, friends, look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do a blue 5 here. And then with my gray resource, I'm going to write a blue 6 here. So then that completes a 3 grouping, which is 4 points. And gives me a blue resource, as well as completing the blue section of hexes, which gives me an additional 4. Okay, going into the final roll, I feel pretty good about that. So let's see what this final roll is. Oh. Oh, Gus, you will not claim anything. So funny. All right, 1 time. Ooh, we might have an additional roll. Okay, 1 time, yellow and gray, 4 and 5. All right, well, I have already completed gray, so gray does not help. But I can do yellow. But I am going to do yellow and use my manipulator here on the orange resource to make this into a 1. So I can complete this grouping of yellow, which is 2 points for the 2 multiplied by 2 because it's a yellow grouping, which will give me 4. Alrighty. It seems like this final round is kind of avalanching into something better. I like it. I like it. All right, friends, last roll here. All right, we've got a 1 and a 5. Oh, 2 time. Look at that. 2 time. But I will only mark 1 because it's the end of the game. I have a blue resource, so I will use that for 2 points. And a gray. And now I choose my grouping. I either have green and gray, 1 and 5. All right. So I can claim this because I can't do anything with gray because I've already claimed gray. So I can do this. For my last turn, which will give me a purple resource, which doesn't matter because it's the end of the game. However, it'll give me 1 victory point because it's a 1 hex. And now we get to tally up. So 2, 4, 6, 9, 13, 17, 21, 23, 24 for that final round. And then adding up 24, 38, and even 50. Not great, not terrible, but I feel like we can do better the next time around. So let us flip over our player sheets. So if you're playing at home, you can see there's another player sheet here. They double-sided printing, which I am so glad that they did this. I think it was very wise because there are some roll and writes that just don't get double-sided printing, and so you only have it on one side, and so I end up having to laminate a lot of these. I do have the laminated sheets with me, But I thought for the sake of glare and everything, I would do this on the actual paper sheet. But I'm really glad that they did this double-sided so that way you can play it twice. So, quick hydrate for everyone that's playing along at home. Don't forget, we are still going to do our crisscross tournament. All the scores have been brought back down to 0, so it is anyone's game here. So please feel free to stick around. We are going to be playing that soon. And yes, but first, let us do this one more time. Let's see if we can beat our score of 50, huh? I will choose, actually, I'm going to choose the blue resource castle this time around. See if it does any different for me. I doubt it now that I'm like speaking it out loud. But we'll see. So here we go. First roll. First roll. What do we get? What do we get? We get 1 time. Okay. So 1 time here. Yellow and orange, 2 and 4. But I have to go based upon from where my center castle is. So I've got here. Yellow and orange, 2 and 4. So I'm going to do 2 here. 2 here on orange. Yeah, why not? We'll start with that. We will start with that. Okie doke. Aha! Here we go. 2 time, my friends. We've got 2 time. And we do have a blue resource because I claimed the blue castle. So we will cross that off. Give ourselves 2 points. And a gray resource. And now we have these 2 to choose from. 5 and 6. So I'm going to do a 5er here. I don't think we can use the I don't think we can use the gray when we do I don't think we can use the gray, but maybe I'm mistaken. Let me check. Because this would be a perfect opportunity to use the gray to mark a secondary hex, but let me see. Doubles, each player can cross off their blue spaces for each one. Gain a gray plus 2 victory points. Selling does not utilize the 1 bonus roll applies to subsequent players build their combinations. Okay, I don't think I don't think it is a violation. I think you can use it. I think you can use it. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So I'm going to say we are going to be able to use it. If someone thinks otherwise, please feel free to mention that in the chat. But I think according to what I'm reading in the rules, I don't think you, since you haven't used another resource to manipulate the dice, you're using that as your one resource per turn kind of thing. So, okay, so we will do that. And then because I did that, that is a 2 hex section for 4 points. And that gives me a blue resource there. Okay. Just to make sure I was doing that correctly. Okie doke. Here we go. What do we got? We got a yellow. We got 2 and a 5. Oh, let's do this way. And a 1. All right. 1 time spent. Orange and yellow, 2 and 5. So I'm going to do a 5 here on orange because it's a different number. That is complete the orange section, which gives me 4. And an orange resource. There we go. I could have done yellow as instead, but I didn't have anything extra to claim 2 numbers, so I would just want to complete that orange section there. Okie doke. Ooh, got some big numbers now. Green and yellow. 1 time, 6 and 6. So we're gonna mark 1 time. So I need to be close to this. I need to have it be a 6, which I don't. So I will use it as a yellow, and I will put a yellow 6 here. Sometimes I choose a direction that I'm going with, and other times it's really just based upon what is around. Oh, hello. Thank you, Board Game Italia, for the follow. I appreciate that. Glad to have you joining. So yeah, there is really, I try to, work my way so I can have multiple options. Sometimes I get stuck, but here I feel like there's a lot of options. So we have the green, the gray, the orange, and the blue on this one. Versus if I filled it down here, I only had orange available to me. So kind of a little bit of my idea, my strategy behind that. So, all right, here we go. We've got 1 time blue and purple. 3 and 5. So 1 time we'll mark off. Blue and purple, 3 and 5. So I am close to purple now and also blue here. So I think I'm going to do, but purple I need 1s and 2s, so I don't have 1s and 2s unless I want to use a manipulator, but I don't think I want to. So I think I'm just going to do the 5 here. Oh, good gravy. That is a 5, friends. I don't know what in the world I was doing. Okay. Oh, here we go. 2 time. We've got a purple. We've got a 1. We've got a 4 and a gray. Okay. So marking 2 time first. I have 1 blue resource available. So I'll cross that off, give myself 2 points here. And then circle a gray. And now I have my options, 1 and 4, gray or purple. So I will do 4. And then with my gray, I will do a 1 here. to complete this hex. So it's a 1 grouping, which gives me 1 point, and a purple resource. And yeah, I think that's everything for that roll. Let's see what we get for the next one. Okay, we've got 1 time unit, yellow and gray, and some 2s. So we got 1 time, yellow and gray, and some 2s. Okay. I am going to, let's do the yellow, but use my orange resource to change the pip value into a 6 here. So that completes this hex section. It is a 2 hex section that is 4 points, but it's a yellow grouping, so it's multiplied by 2, which will give me 8 points. There. Okie doke. Last roll for this round. What do we got here, friends? What do we got? 1 time, it looks like. 1 time. Some yellows, a 3, and a 5. Okay. So I will do a 3 here. Start off a new yellow section. Doesn't complete anything. I don't have any other resources I can use. So then I will add them up. So 3, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14, 22. Much better start, I feel, than last time. So here we go, going into round 2. And we've got 1 time, and a 5, and a blue, and a 3. Ooh, double blue. Okay. So we'll mark off our time. Make sure we do the time first. Some blues, 3 and 5. Well, we need a 5 or a 6 to do blue. So let's do that here. Put a 5 here on this blue hex. And there we go. If I had a gray, I could put another 5 here for blue because there are 2 blue dice, but I do not, so I will not. Okay. All right, we've got 1 time unit, purple and orange. Ooh, and we got some big numbers. Okay, so 1 time, purple and orange, 2 and 6. All right. So remember, they have to be different numbers on the oranges, but the purples can be 1s or 2s. So that's the kicker. Do I see myself completing those sooner rather than later, or should I stick with the monastery, which is the purple hex? Decisions. Let's go. Let's see what happens if I do a 2 down here. Let's see what happens if I can get more numbers to fill in that orange area. Let's see. Alrighty. Oh, we've got double time, friends. We have got double time. So mark off 2 here. I do not have any blue resources this time. Darn it. So I can't do the blue yet. I've got yellow and gray, 1 and 5. Oh, okay. Yellow and gray 1 and 5. Let's do a gray, but use... Oh, I don't have any manipulators. Oh, darn it. Okay. 1 and 5. Well, I can use my monk to change this to a purple. I might just have to do that. Okay. So I will use my monk, which allows me to change one of the color dice. And I'm going to have it be a purple, so I could do a purple 1 here. But now I am close to this castle and this castle. So I could claim those if those numbers come up. All right. Not great, but not terrible. So let's see. Here we go. Okay. We've got 1 time. We've got a yellow. We've got a 2. And another 2. And a purple. Okay. So mark off our time. We've got 2s here. All right. I could do a 2. So let's do a 2 here for our purple area. And I don't have a gray resource, unfortunately, so I can't take a second pairing. That's a bummer. Seems like this round we're kind of stalling here, friends. We started off really strong, but now we're kind of stalling. Oh, good grief. All right, we've got 2. 2 time. Darn it. Okay, 2 time. It's coming out again. I do not have a blue resource, so I can't use the blue bonus. I've got yellow and purple 5 and 4. Okay, well, I don't have any manipulators available to me, so the purple is out, but I can do a yellow. I can start, well, yeah, let's do this here, just to give us some points on the board, huh? So I'll put a 4 there. That completes this 1 hex grouping for 1 point, but it's yellow, so multiplied by 2 will give me 2 points. Whoa, a big whopping 2 points there, friends. Yeah, I don't have any resources available to me, so I can't do any manipulation. But I completed a section, and that's what we're here to do. Oh, now it's just the blue dice are just coming out in full force. The blue time, I should say. So we're marking off 2 time. Again, no blue resource, but I've got some 6s and a yellow and a gray. So I can start a new yellow section up here because the gray needs 3s and 4s, and I don't have anything to manipulate, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a 6 up here in yellow. Whew. All right. Last roll of round number 2. Here we go, friends. We've got purple and green, a 4 and a 5, and 2 time again. Okay, but it's the end of the round, so I'm only going to mark 1. 4 and 5, purple and green. So I can claim this castle or this one because they are all adjacent to a 5. I think I'm going to claim this one. I think I'm going to claim this one for the green. So here, doing this here, and that is a 1 hex complete, so that gives me 1 point. All right, James, have a good evening, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by, as always. And I will see you around the interwebs. Okay, so that is the end of round 2 here. So we've got a big whopping 3 points for round number 2. Oh, geez. I don't know how we're going to do about beating our score of 50, friends. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, moving into round 3. Round 3, we've got 1 time, a 3, a gray, a purple, and a 4. Okay, so here we go. 1 time, gray and purple, 3 and 4. Well, that's good because I can complete this area here with a gray 4. That is a 2 hex section for 2 points and gives me a gray resource. Now I could also do a gray 3. Oh, yes, I can because I claimed this one here. So I will do a gray 3. Just so I have the availability to go around. So yes, so there we go. Okay, we've got 1 time, a 5, an orange, a 1. Ooh, double oranges. Okay. So let's mark off just 1 time here. We've got our oranges, 1 and 5. Oh, that's nice. So look, friends, I'm going to put a 1 here on orange. And with my other gray, I'm going to use that to put a 5 here. So that completes this hex grouping, which is a group of 3 hexes for 4 points. That gives me an orange resource. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, so we're coming along. We're getting our points slowly but surely. Here we go. And we're getting just 1 time, which is nice. 1 time is nice. It allows us to accumulate more points, friends. And accumulating points is the name of the game. No, it's not, Jess. This is Castle of Burgundy, the dice game. Okay, yes, you're correct. But you know what I mean. All right, we got gray and gray, 6 and 2. Okay. Well, I don't have any manipulator. Oh, I do. I have the orange. So I'm going to take a gray, but use my manipulator to change the pip value and make this a gray 3. So I completed this hex section for 2 points, which gives me a gray resource. And I also completed the gray groupings of all the gray hexes. So I get an additional 3 for that. Okay. We're trucking along here, friends. I'm not sure if we're going to get 25, but it's looking pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. All right. If we keep rolling these single time, that would be very, very nice. So we've got 1 time to mark off. Blue and blue, 1 and 6. Now remember, friends, we need 5s and 6s for blue. So I'm going to take this blue 6 here. That completes a 3 hex section for 4 points. And gives me a blue resource. I am not done yet with the blue hexes. I still need this one to fill in. So nothing else to claim right now. But we're slowly getting those points in. Slowly getting them in. All right, 4 yellow. Couple yellows. And 1 time. Okay. Okay. So we've got, oh, sorry, friends. Kind of cut that off here. 1 time. Yellow and yellow, 2 and 4. Well, darn it. The yellows I need are 3 or a 6. Not 2 and 4. And I don't have a manipulator. Darn it. Excuse me. Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, I don't have any manipulators, so I can't take any pairings. I will just take a orange resource. Oh, here we go with the 2 time now. Let's mark off 2 time. And I do have a blue resource. So that'll give me 2 points. And a gray. And now I have blue and yellow, 3 and 3. Ooh, nice. So I'll do a 3 here. To complete this yellow, it is a 2 hex for 2, but multiplied by 2 gives me 4. Excuse me. So that's all I've got, I believe. Yeah. Okay. Gray and blue. Some 5s and 1 time. So I've already completed all of the gray, so gray doesn't count for me, but I can do a 5 here on blue. And that is a 1 hex for 1 point and gives me a blue resource. And that's all I can do. Okay, so we either have 1 more roll after this, friends, or 2 more rolls, depending on what the time die says. So we've got 1 time unit, some greens and some 3s. All right, 1 time, greens and 3s. Do I have any 3? I already have this one claimed. This one is claimed. Oh. Oh, wait. I can change that. I'm going to use my orange resource to change this to be a 6. So I'll claim this one. Claim this castle. That's a 1 hex. So it gives me 1 point. All right, final roll, friends, for this second game. Oh, and it's a double time. Oh boy. Okay, so we're gonna mark the final box here. I do have 1 blue resource Awesome. That gives me 2. I'm just going to add it over here on the side. Then it gives me a gray. But I've got gray and green 3 and 4. Oh, jeepers. Gray's already completed. But I can do this because there's a 4 here. Sweet. And that's a 1 hex for that grouping. I've completed all the greens, which gives me an additional 3 points. And I can't do anything else because all the grays are done and the greens are done. So I can't use any of my gray resources. But that's all right. I think we did okay. Let's add them up. 2, 6, 8, 11, 15, 17, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 29. I think 29. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Yeah, 29. Yeah, holy third column, Batman. That is right, Gus. Okay, so let's add them up. 29 and 3 is 32 plus 22 is 54. Hey, we improved. Yeah, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, 54. Yep, we improved there. And that, my friends, is Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Hang tight for just a second. I'm going to clear off the table and get our crisscross dice and things. So get your player sheets ready. I will be right back. Alrighty, friends, here we go with our new month for Crisscross. For those of you that have been following on my stream, on Wednesdays I usually play a couple games of Crisscross and with interacting with the chat, and at the end of each month, whoever has the top score accumulated over all the games, whoever has the highest score overall, not a sum total, but just overall, will get a bag of swag from myself and the CCG crew. So, and it doesn't matter if you are here in the States or across the pond. I've been able to send them anywhere. So, yes. So in this game, you are matching symbols based upon the 2d6s that you see here. Each of us, myself and the chat, will have a different starter symbol here in the upper left-hand corner. And I will be rolling the 2 dice, and you will be writing down those 2 symbols orthogonally adjacent to one another. That means north, south, east, or west to each other. I like to tell folks, picture these as like a 2x1 domino. So you can have them situated like this, or you can have them rotated in this orientation. It is completely valid on your player sheet. You cannot have them in this direction, so they cannot be diagonal to each other. We will go around and fill in this 5x5 grid, and then we will score points based upon how many of the symbols are together in a row, in a column, as well as on this diagonal here, which is going to be scored twice. As you see below my view, my selfie cam there is how each of those symbols will be scored. If you have 2 together on a row or a column or on the diagonal, you will get 2 points. 3 together will give you 3, 4 together will give you 8, and 5 will give you 10 points. If you do not have any matching symbols on a row or a column or on that diagonal, you will get -5 points. And remember, on this diagonal, we are scoring it twice. So if you do not have any matching symbols next to one another grouped together, you will get -5 points both directions. So -5 points twice, which is -10. We will be playing this 2 times, so if you want to watch, if you have not played this game before, if you want to watch and then join in on the second game to get your score tallied, totally fine. This column and this row here are for scoring purposes. So if you're playing at home and you have a little grid, make sure you have this bottom row and this far right column available to you for scoring. All right, so here we go. The starter symbol for the chat is the single slash. So if you're playing along at home, write a single slash here in the upper left-hand corner. For myself, I will get the triangle to start. So I'll put the triangle here. And here we go. First game of Curse Box. We've got 3 lines twice. I'm going to put them down here. Remember, they have to be orthogonally adjacent. They don't have to be adjacent to something that you've previously written if it doesn't make sense for you to match them. So like in this example, since they are not triangles, I am putting them down here in the bottom corner in hopes of matching them on something in the future. And if anyone has any questions about how to play, please feel free to let me know. I am more than willing to talk through any questions that you might have. All right, so we've got an X and an O is next. Oof, okay. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if I do that. All right, an X and 3 lines. Ooh, that just worked out. So I'm gonna put my 3 lines here and my X here. So now on this column, I have a pair, which gives me 2 points, and a 3 together, which gives me 3. So all told, this column will give me 5 points. Alrighty, next, an X and a triangle. Okay. Hoping I can get some doubles here because that would be really nice. Doubles are very helpful for you getting points wherever you place them. All right, 3 lines and a pound sign or hashtag, whatever you want to call it. So let's do 3 lines and a pound sign. Okay, next roll. Triangle and a single slash. Now sometimes you just kind of get stuck, unfortunately, and you just kind of get there. You just get what you get stuck with the symbols that you kind of don't want, but it's kind of just how it is. Okay, next roll. Circle and a single slash. Oof, okay. That is not great. Okay. Oh, doubles, please. Sorry, Gus. That is not doubles here, friend. Okay, let's see here. Oh, double pound signs. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Triangle and a single slash. Fits nicely right here. Okay. Double X's would be glorious, says Gus. Well, let's see. An X and an O. Oof, okay. Let's do that here. Yeah, let's do that here. Okie doke. Ooh, O and a single slash. One more roll for this game, and then we will move on to game number 2. Okay, let's see. Gus says, would love an X and 3 lines. Ooh, how about an X and an O, Gus? An X and an O. Oops. I'm writing 3 lines. Nope. It's an X and an O. X and an O. Okay. Now we are ready to add up our scores here. Let's start with the rows, then we'll do the columns, and finally the diagonal. So this row we have a grouping of 2 for 2 points. 2 again for 2. Ooh, no matching for minus. Again, oh, good gravy. And a 2. We've got 2 and 2 is 4. And 2, that's 3. This is 2 here. And a 5. Then going across 2 pair for 4 and 4. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, so 4, 6, 8. Ooh, gosh, that's 10, right? 4, 6, 8, 10. Minus 10 is 0. Ouch. 4, 8, 10, 13, 15, 20. So I think that's 20 for me. 10. Yeah, 10 and 10 is 20. 20 for me that time. Oh, 24 for Gus. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's not great. Okay, but we will start the next game. Because remember, friends, we've got all the month to do. So currently Gus has 24. I've got 20. But like I said, we'll do... Oh, you got minus 5s as well, Gus. Yeah, I did too. Okay, starting off game number 2. These scores will roll over to next week. Get your player sheets ready, friends. Or if you were just lurking on that first one and want to jump in on game number 2, then be my guest. All right, for the chat, you all will be starting. Oh, you had the single slash last time. Let's give you a new symbol. Let's start you off with the circle. Circle in the upper left-hand corner. And then I will get the pound sign for me. So here we go. All right, we've got circle and a triangle. Oh, good grief. Okay. Not a great start. Not a great start. Let's see if we can get some better scores than in the 20s today. And while we're wrapping up the stream playing this last game, if anyone has any suggestions on who we should go ahead and raid, let me know in the chat. All right. Gus says, it'd be interesting to try this game by rolling all 12 rolls and then placing them all at once and see how high of a score you can achieve. Oh, geez. Yeah, I guess you could kind of document all the rolls first and then try to place them. Yeah, maybe that could be a fun variant. All right, we got double triangles here. Turn into a more strategic puzzle. Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Getting those doubles, though, is sure nice. Sure nice. All right, a circle and a single slash. I also feel like you would probably need to have 2 player sheets. If you were going to write all that down and then kind of figure out which ones you've used and which ones you haven't. One who reads says, one roll at a time is more strategic puzzle since you have to plan for what you don't know what will come. Yeah, it is more puzzly and more kind of luck, but at the same time, you can also get the strategy going if you know what is placed, what is going to be played too. So I think there's some pros and cons, I think, for both of those. But yeah, I see like the puzzle kind of nature because you have to plan for what will come. And whether or not it will come is kind of that kind of planning on your feet thing too, right? Because if the dice don't roll in your favor, then it's like, well, what do I do now? And as more of the boxes get filled in, sometimes you might get stuck with just a placement where you did not want it to go. So yeah, it'd be interesting to do. I don't know if I would actually do that here on the stream, but it might be a fun kind of silly thing to do off stream. All right, a triangle and a pound sign there. Gus says true, maybe better framed as a strategy versus a puzzle. Yeah. All the terms are kind of some of them can be interchangeable because sometimes people think of puzzles as like strategies because some people are more suited to solving puzzles quicker and more efficiently than others because of the strategy that they have that they have worked in their brains, right? But yeah, I think it would be strategic to kind of place like trying to see what variants will come, therefore you put them in there as well. So yeah, I don't know. Something to ponder. Gus says hidden knowledge requires strategy, and more known information with an end goal creates a puzzle. Yes, maybe. I don't know, because I try to think about it like with like logic when you're doing like logic puzzles, right? They only give you certain information, but there is a puzzle nature to it because there is an actual solution. Whereas with the strategy, you're trying to create your own solution based upon the limited knowledge that you have been given, I think. All right, double slashes. Okay, doke. Let's see. All right, an X and 3 lines. That is not helpful. Let's do here. Oh, yeah, I don't know if that was great. Okie doke. Let's see. X and 3 lines. Again with the X and 3 lines. This could either be really great or really terrible. Really great or really terrible. I feel like I need doubles now because this is just not doing well. I'm on the verge of getting a couple -5s here. Whew. Whew, whew, whew. A triangle and 3 lines would be awesome. I would really like some doubles of anything, really. How about a single slash and a pound sign? Jeez. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, I mean, despite having these 4 here in a line, I just can't see myself getting any more positive points here. Oh, but that's so great about this game, right? It's like you can keep playing it over and over, and every time is always something different. It's always something different. All right, single slash and 3 lines. Yeah, so Friday, friends, I'm going to have a kind of chill out stream. Going to do some coloring, just hanging out with folks in the chat. It's supposed to get really, really hot here up in the northwest of the United States. So I'm going to try to stay in the air conditioning as much as possible. So I thought, what better way to relax and hang out with all of you than to do some coloring with you all. Yeah. One who reads says, what was the starting role for chat? I believe it was a circle. But Gus, if you can verify that. So all right, every row and column covered with the positive points. Now everything else is gravy. Yeah. Okay, yes. So it was a circle for the chat to start with. And that must go in the top left. Yes, yes. One who reads, yes, that must go in the top left. All right, circle and triangle. Oh, gosh. Okay. Yep. Only 2 more rolls. Only 2 more rolls. I don't know if I've ever felt this nervous about this game before. And nervous in this fact of like, I'm going to have so many minus points. It's insane. Oh, that's great. It's great. Okie doke. We've got a single slash and 3 lines. Ooh. Single slash and 3 lines. Yep, I'm taking the minus. Taking the minus right there. Darn it. Whew. But it's okay. I have fun regardless. And it's not for me to get the bag of swag. It's to encourage you all to play along with me so you can have a chance to getting a bag of swag. So. Oh, all right. One more roll. One more roll to win them all. No, I'm just kidding. One more roll until we score and hopefully get better than 24. That's the top score right now. Okie doke. And the dice say X and a single slash. Okay. Here we go with the negative points. All right, going across here, we got a 2 and a 2, 2, negative, and 8. Going down, we got negative, and a 2, and a 4, and a 4, and 5. And going across, 2 pairs for 4. 2 pairs for 4. So 8, 10, 12, 14, 18. That's 13 here, right? 4, 6, 8, 10, 18, 13. All right, that's cancels out. 4, 8, 10, 14. 27 this time around. 5, 9, 13, 15, 10, 14. Yep. 27. All right, what did Gus get? 37 this time. Holy cow. Much better for game 2. I got 27 this time around. Anyone else that I feel better about going on a podium spot in the 30s rather than in the 20s? Yes, exactly right. And anyone else that was playing at home, let me know in the chat what your top score was for today. I'm going to go back up here to the top screen here. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me and playing some castles dice as well as crisscross. It's always a pleasure to see your lovely names in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and have us raid over to Heart Board Games. Believe they are doing some play-alongs with the chat on Board Game Arena if you would like to join them. So let me go ahead and get that set up here. I believe that's how we got it spelled. I think there's an S at the end of their stream name. Yes, Heart Board Games. Alrighty. Let's do that there. So thanks everybody for hanging out with me today. I will be back on Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific for some chill coloring streams. Come hang out, bring your coloring sheets, and let's just enjoy a lovely afternoon. So 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. GMT, and I will see you then. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. Yeah.